And I probably should have done that. Well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the minutes for June 20th, 2024, closed session for Sean Kelly.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, review of bills and other financial matters. Review of transactions report.
Let's make a copy.
We got it for me.
All right, so I have a few changes that we made that we put into on the table, and we'll send out if anybody needs those, and we'll put them on the website. We added a small line on the capital outlay program that we had spent a little bit of money of $1,092. So it changed that number a little bit. And then on the surfacing, the seal and coat patching project for Ironwood and Axe Handle, it was requested that we go ahead and recommended that we end that project as if it was completed. So I just wanted to verify everything was done and that you guys want me to remove that and put those funds back in to the account, as we can spend that additional $3,000 somewhere else now if it's complete.
And can I make a request?
Sure.
Can we put that in that beautiful box here that tells us how much money we have for road repairs and improvements?
The 3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll increase. Yeah, it'll increase
Perfect.
they'll increase the 114. And then there was also, I was just curious, I just want to make sure on the Broken Spur project, I believe that one was also complete. Can we do the same? No? Is it still going?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I think there's a request for more money.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
The request is for 6,000 though, and the amount that's still left over, according to this, is 5,900. Right? Isn't that what it? you
right.
didn't
So yeah,
change
so
that.
there
Okay,
no, I haven't
sorry.
changed that number. So there's 5,900 left. Okay. And then we were speaking a little earlier. We have on the ad valorem, since the meeting's a little sooner this month, we did get that deposited today. So it will increase another $964, I believe. And then we'll have the last CTX and LGTA for the year. And the report's going to roll for September, and so it'll change a little bit, and we'll see another number. So that's there. And then we have on the transaction report, we have nothing other than the check for Sierra Nevada Construction obviously cleared. So the bank account did go down by that amount for the $342,000. And then we had just a few small payments last month, but nothing unusual. And we have just a couple bills. We had the reefer and trailer fleet services. It's a new vendor that came out and helped Sean out, it looks like. And then we have our annual mailbox renewal for Pack and Post. And I did change that. We had the option, they had signed us up for 6 months. We're going to go ahead and do the year, if that's okay with the board. It does save $24. And then there was the insurance company had a deductible that we had to pay. Okay.
Which type of insurance company?
It was Pool Pack.
You paid all the chip seal in July bill.
We did, and the check cleared for the August.
I don't know if you know the answer to this because you're kind of new to the job of bookkeeping. But when I was looking at this, and just something that came to my attention for the first time, this is only my third meeting. I see that you and Robin are paid via NVPRS. Is that the payroll service?
It is.
Do you know why? Does someone on the board know why we use the payroll service for independent contractors?
I would assume we're doing it so they can automatically handle the taxes and make sure the proper amounts are because they're up to date
the
on,
1099
Yeah.
stuff and all that.
exactly, so they will auto produce.
Necessary at the end of the year, to clear up all whatever.
So I know, like, when I had my employees, you're better off paying someone that has the ability to keep track of all
Sure.
that.
Right.
Because none of us here have the ability to stay up to date on all that.
I understand that, but we have to distinguish, and we have to be careful that we continue to distinguish between independent contractors and employees. And so I just want to make sure that the payroll service understands, and you guys
Well,
are.
It
well,
is.
it should be labeled that way, because you guys should be receiving 1099.
It's a completely separate section of
Okay.
But they
the,
can still-
of the
yeah,
payroll.
they can still
So
put
it
in
shows
they
up as
receive-
independent contractors
Yeah, they
instead of
receive,
hourly wages.
they receive the allocation, and then it's make sure that it's listed on the allocation how it's supposed to be. Should be at least.
And then how do they know how much to pay Sean and the next guy that's just started? How do they know how much to pay him?
So they're set up as employees and it shows their hourly rate and then any deductions or anything that's in there
Okay.
on their profile.
Okay,
And Sean sends time cards on Monday and then I enter the time into the payroll system from the time cards and it processes.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to educate myself, so thank you.
No problem.
I'm gonna go on to, I don't know how much of this we covered, Angie, but I'm gonna go to review of bills for approval of payment. Did we cover that?
I went over it, but
Or we haven't?
we haven't approved it, but it's,
Okay.
Yeah, she just went over it, so I don't have any more questions. I'll move to approve the payment of bills.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. So now we'll go to the estimated operating funds report.
you already talked about that, didn't you? She talked about that first, President
Are we
John.
good
Yeah,
on that, guys?
yeah, we just,
We good on that?
I just have one dumb question. It looked like they had a negative number when there was a positive number there before. And the total estimated minus, it's on page, not this page, and minus $301,660. And estimated expenses and reserves, is that showing as a credit, the minus, or?
so we have, we're estimating right now that we have about 300,000 to 298 left to spend between the capital outlay in the ongoing projects. And then between the bank balance and the 298, we have 114,000 left.
Well, my concern was if it's negative, we're not in the whole 300,000, I'm sure.
No.
I know that wouldn't happen. So usually reserves through, or am I missing it where we have so much, I'm looking for that, before this says we have so many
He probably doesn't have
dollars
the
left
new
over
report.
for the August. complaint. Okay, Pepper, good, don't worry about it. We're good. As long as you- as long as I'm negative, we're good. That's all I need to know, thank you.
I was gonna say, because yours,
Oh, we still got a negative on the same thing though, Marty. Well, okay, you got positive there.
Yeah.
Here.
There was a, when it was sent out, right, when it was sent to Robin, there's a formula reference. I didn't send her a PDF copy because Kathy was reviewing it. And so it's subtracting the 301. So you're not seeing this number subtracted from the bank account.
so what is, okay.
Yeah, so that-
It's not a negative
it's-
number.
Well, this is a negative number. That's what we're expecting to spend is the 301.
Oh,
But we have, well, and that
That's what we
changed
have to
slightly. We have 298, but the bank balance was 412,000. So 412
yeah, that
minus
was
the
on this
301.
one.
Yeah.
oh, I see. So
And
it's
she brought new
not
ones
that
tonight.
we're in the hole, it's what we expect to
That's what we
spend.
expect to spend is the 301.
Okay.
That's why it's negative.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, they're kind of, they're
Okay,
almost counter
I understand it.
to it, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, if we didn't get any more money today and we spent it all, that's how much we would have left.
114,000.
Are we good on that?
Yep.
Okay. Supplemental insurance quote for medical insurance renewal includes health, vision, and dental insurance. And we tabled this from last month. And, I think we have a nice layout, cost analysis of information.
So we talked to the insurance company or the broker, A&H again, and to see if we could have any other options for the more quotes. And unfortunately, they had some for Anthem, but because we don't have 2 full-time employees currently, we cannot use the Anthem services, and the rates were nearly the same, but the actual insurance wasn't as good. So I left the options here for
I broke it down so you
Okay.
can see the increases for each one.
So we had the renewal rate for the plan that is currently the same. So was the first plan the renewal, and then there's an alternate 1 and an alternate 2 for the insurance rates.
And here's
This
here's the increased one. It went up by $290.97, and this one went to $267.
okay.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah,
to you.
sorry. It's the first time I'm seeing this particular version. I didn't look at it. So the renewal rate for the like plan was $2,507, and it had a monthly increase of $290.97 to the GID. And then their first alternate was a $2,219.58 a month, increasing it from this year $202.67. And then alternate 2, $2,255, and it increased to $38.19 from this year
A month.
a month.
Is there significant differences, or did they bid on the same exact?
Okay.
So the renewal plan is the same, nearly the same exact plan. And then the alternates are slightly different. They have a 180% is the payment for alternate 1. And then alternate 2, it changes to a 35,500 and instead of a 15,500. So it changes the deductibles slightly. But the renewal was nearly the same.
We tried one time, I remember, to get us onto the town system, but that was single problem.
I tried again, just so you know, Greg. I contacted,
The burgers.
I actually, not first, because that would be, I contacted the county manager who put me in charge with the person who could answer the question. She was very nice, said she wished they could, but there's no NRS or.
I forget what the reasons were,
Yeah.
but it was pretty
It
firm.
was pretty firm, and it wasn't that they didn't want to help us out.
So my, and you guys follow my thinking here or not? Which one? Robin, the 2589.29. That's the monthly premium. Is that alternate 2?
I believe that's alternate. I believe that is, that's alternate 2. And then alternate 1 is $25.48.50. And then, of course, if we keep the same policy, it's $28.79. And what you're looking at per year is if we renew with the same one, it'll increase the district's cost $3,491 for the year. On the on alternate 1, it'll increase it to $32.04 for the year. And alternate 3 will be $458.28. So there is a substantial difference as far as the cost of the district on the different plans.
So I have my opinion, but I'll let you guys sort it out. Let me ask.
I think increasing it by $3,500 a year is too much. I think we have to be a little more frugal. So I would support either alternate 1 or alternate 2.
Do we know what major changes they did if they're, if they budgeted it
Yes.
by $3,500 a year?
That's correct. The major change is office visit, specialist. Urgent care, slight increase.
Now,
Little bit of increase, you know. And I'm looking at alternate 2, because that's the closest.
So the one we have right now, they want to increase by almost $3,500.
Mhm.
And,
So I know this isn't gonna make me popular. Insurance is not a fun thing to deal with. And I've told you guys before, I do it, reported for almost 2 decades on the committee, that and insurance is gonna keep going up. And so, honestly, I think for the GID, we look for something that doesn't totally decimate the employees with a slight reduction in benefit and a slight increase in cost. And honestly, in my opinion, with insurance is the best path forward. Because otherwise, 2 years from now, will be $2,000, or will be $7,000 a year more than you're doing now. And so you try to weigh that balance in my mind. And honestly, I would lean towards alternate 2, because it's not a crazy shift in benefits, just a slight reduction.
Well, I think you make a good point that alternate 2 kind of makes us both suffer a little bit, both the board's pocketbook and the employee's pocketbook. Whereas the other one, the renewals, it falls almost entirely on the board, and on alternate 1, it falls a little bit more on the employee.
I don't know who guys feel. And at the risk of being too blunt, insurance sucks. It just does. And public entity insurance, it's the plan we have and the plan that the alternate 2 is comparable or better to the public entities in order to buy. Because I'm familiar with most of them. So, Greg or Marty, do you guys have any other opinions?
It's fun trying to keep costs low.
You know what?
What was the salary? Oh, never mind, that has nothing to do with the salary increase.
Well, you guys are thinking, let's have public comment. Any public comment?
Yeah, Larry Chesney for the record. $3,000 is a lot of money, but we only have 2 employees, and we have an employee recruitment and obviously a retention problem. And so about all the GID has to offer for folks to come out here and work is to offer the Cadillac benefit program. The wages are comparable to in town, but this is unforgiving territory to work in. And witnessed over the last few months, it's been darn near impossible to recruit employees that are qualified. And I think that should be weighed very heavily employee retention and recruitment against costs.
Can I clarify one thing? This is only for Sean. When we add another employee, that cost is going to go up.
Right, this is just for one employer. right?
This is just for one employee,
So it'll double.
almost, yeah.
Okay.
Depending on the coverage.
Yeah,
that
Right,
employee
depending on
has,
the
yeah.
coverage.
So it will be, it
Yeah.
will be an
Marty,
increase.
any other comments? I understand the public comment and, the current plan and the renewal plan that I'm leaning towards are better. A lot of it's out there. It's a lot better than my plan.
Okay, I'll move to do alternate two.
I'll sec-
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. E, reinstate operations manager, checking account access. Which guy? Reinstate operations manager, checking account access unit for board meetings. And Sean asked if this be put back on the agenda, and I agreed to do it once Ray got back. And, this is something that the operations manager had access to before, and it changed. And I just had the board members handbook page put in our packet tonight, so we could see that it is actually in there for the operations manager listed on that account. But I didn't want to do anything, to be honest with you, Grace. I wanted you to be back and get your input.
At first, when I took over this was flying, just happened. And I didn't know that, Charmian had a checking account or direct checks on the GID business. And I thought it was appropriate that, something, or somebody oversees all that, with money's going on. And, when Kathy left and was gone, I'm sure things got set up so that things would work still with the general improvement district. So with that in mind, I trust Sean to do the right thing. He takes the checks out and he buys a piece of equipment, signs the check. And I didn't see that was an issue. But then again, I got some feedback and I thought, well, okay, what's standard accounting procedures for having an open checkbook or an individual capable of writing a checkbook? And I think we put limits even on the checking writing and the amounts and things like that, unless it was specially approved by the board, the president, and one other person we went and bid on, and picked up a piece of equipment, because that's always a difficult thing. We just have to be ready to jump on things when things happen. So I didn't want to ruin that ability. And then sometimes when you go into town, if you got some odd thing that you have to buy, and usually it's credit card work, but sometimes not, and you want to be able to write a check for it, it's convenient. So it's convenience versus what a rule book I would really say. And I don't think anybody that thinks, Angie's pretty sharp on this kind of stuff. I think maybe you are too, Marty, that things ought to be a certain way just because that's the proper way of doing business.
General accounting practices, at least in public entities, the only people who have access to be signers on the account are the board members, basically your CFO and your CEO.
Okay?
Some levels of controllers have access, but usually it's the higher levels. That's why we have the petty cash accounts and the credit cards. So I know the big reason that it came back up was the fact that we just switched credit cards. They went from a Visa card to a MasterCard. and Costco does not take MasterCard.
Right.
So that was the big reasoning for it. And we looked at how many charges were related to Costco, and we don't have very many of them. I think the largest one was $300 in the last year or so. So we had the petty cash account. We still have the cash that Robin and she brings it to the meeting and I count it, and we've just been holding it back and forth because obviously we aren't going to use
possible
it.
that we could have a check to give Sean to go buy a piece of equipment, and then he gives him the check at the end of the auction,
Right.
and.
And that's what we
is
had
that-
discussed.
Is that
Mhm.
acceptable, and
Yeah.
can he sign it?
No,
he can't sign
I'm gonna go
Currently,
on-
he
I'm
cannot sign it.
Absolutely opposed to him having a checking account. And it's not personal at all.
I understand.
Okay,
I'm
I
understand.
swear, Sean, it's not personal. It's, the checking account, like when I went to be a signatory at the bank, because we had to add it, and we talked to the guy who did the and even Travis, he frowned upon it. I know, she's, up in heaven somewhere, my wife, who was an auditor, but it's not a good internal control. And it's not a matter of trusting a person. You have to have internal controls. And I would oppose re-putting him on the checking account.
Can I say something on that?
I want your input too, John.
Well, there was a time, and I know it will never happen again, but my credit card got shut down. I actually had my checkbook and was able to reinstate my credit card so I could continue shopping in town. Because at the time, we had nobody to pay bills. And that was what my checkbook was also for.
Yeah, it did get shut down quite hard.
Right.
I mean, it's not like I use it a lot, but it's always been in, an operations manager has had it for decades. It's been part of the plan. And again,
Well, I'm hoping that we're not having the same cascade of events that happened before, Sean. So that's something to feel a little bit about.
Sure.
You're right.
Well, and we had last month in July, we needed the check the beginning of July for the fire department to pay them for the
and
truck.
that's a totally
And
different
so
situation.
when we needed it right away, I was able to get it to him same day.
That is equipment, and it's always been, if an auction's coming up and I end up bidding on it and I win the auction, then we've already had the set spending limit of where I'm up to, and as long as I'm in there, hey, we won it, we get the check, I give it to the truck driver, they take it down there, they get everything squared away. And as far as just, it was more or less, if something came up, and there is a difference with a credit card. The ops manager never had a credit card in the past either.
Correct.
And I understand. And again, it's just one of those things that I've had people deliver stuff to us and I just wrote them a check at that time. And that way it was done. But it's whatever. It was just something that was very helpful as far as Costco is concerned. The debit card is always a Visa. I can still use it at Costco. And as you can tell, I still haven't switched over my cards yet. So I'm still running on the Visa.
It will end, I believe, in about a week. It says, I think it's on the 27th is what it pops up in my screen on the bank. So it will end.
You might have told me this before, Angie, is there a reason that when Master, that they did this and they
It's
can't go back?
I've asked Wells Fargo, and in fact, they didn't convert both of them to cash rewards, so we have to get the other one converted. Greg's is no longer cash rewards again. So they went all their business cards to MasterCard, every single one of them,
To MasterCard?
to MasterCard, every single business credit card at Wells Fargo.
Are you gonna have public
Yeah,
comment?
public comment, sorry.
Marshall was first.
I've worked for the government and I've worked in private industry and I've been a manager and a worker bee, the managers in all of the private businesses that I've worked for had money they could spend at different levels, it depends on how much control the big guys wanted, but For example, I had a $1.5 million budget this year, I had time for the $500 salary, and I couldn't spend anything without going 2 levels up. And then, the company that I worked for, the last one I worked for, I signed a $500,000 contract. So, you know, it depends on how much trust you want to put in somebody, and it's a matter of convenience. You know, I mean, if you've got somebody, I mean, we only have, what, 80 hours worth of work a week, a lot of the people that are here, you know, and I just really think it's in our best interest to give them as much leeway as possible to do things. Now, you know, you don't want them to be able to go out and spend $100,000, you know. But, I mean, Sean would never do that, but, you know, a reasonable signing limit with a checking account, that's fine. I mean, that's, most of the people that run businesses do it. But the smaller the business, the harder it is, you know, in our particular circumstance, the harder it is to get things done in a hurry. Because somebody may be not at home, busy doing something else, or, you know, if Sean can just write it, he can avoid an extra trip. I just think it's convenience and works for everybody.
Well, that's what I thought too, but I'm not sure that the accounting principles are correct, you know, that's the big thing. You have to have control over what's going on, and it's not just one person. It's what the entity, how the entity does business.
Well, accounting principles are
Go ahead, Brother.
On this credit card thing, we don't necessarily have to have a credit card through Wells Fargo. So if he needs, if Visa is a better vehicle, then go on, get one through Capital One, get one through a credit union. Open up a $25 account and get a credit card, you know, whatever it takes. Because MasterCard, regardless of what Wells Fargo wants to shove down people's throats, is not very well accepted, even worldwide. And worldwide travel.
Can I ask another dumb question, Sean? You go over and get gas at Costco?
I mean, I could get, yeah,
Okay.
I get a little bit of gas every now and again, and depending on what I'm gonna do with truck and welds, it's probably gonna be a gas. And I could always go over to Costco and get them filled up.
Well, you can if you don't have a Visa credit.
No, exactly, yeah. Not now I can't, that's what it's
So
on.
I'm just-
That's where they're headed.
I'm just thinking.
But here's the thing with what was set up with Wells Fargo Visa, was the cash back was substantial.
Right.
And we actually, Kathy fought like heck to get that back, because something got screwed up in the long run, or somewhere in the past. And she got everything dialed in, and it has, I mean, when I'm buying $12,000 worth of tires, it's given us $1,000, I mean, it's given us a substantial amount. And so it really was beneficial at the time.
Is this the same thing? now?
They said they were gonna keep.
Is it gonna be a rewards
Okay.
card?
Sean's, so it transferred over with Sean's is still a rewards card. It's 2%. And then Greg's, we just have to reapply for the same card, which is silly, but
No,
for some reason we have
They
to,
told me that even his card's still getting
it
rewards.
was with
mine's
the
the
old
primary
card, right. They looked at it and they said his is not getting rewards.
When
Oh.
they switched it over.
When they
I don't know.
switched,
I haven't
yeah,
really
when they
talked to them.
switched it. So I talked to Wade,
Oh.
who's our other banker. And so he gave me all the information to fix it. So we'll get the points back for the cash rewards it's a 2% reward, but we could look at somebody else. Costco has their own credit card.
Right.
So,
And it's a Visa.
and it's obviously a Visa because that's what they want. So we could do
So,
that. We could
you know
we
what?
could look somewhere else and get
Why
different
don't-
credit
why don't we
cards.
Just do that. And then we don't have to make a motion on this.
Okay.
Let's just look into that
Okay.
and see if that works. And that solves the Costco problem, gonna solve some of the other problems that we can see. Let's just look into that.
Okay.
And you guys good with that? We'll just let this one go?
Do you want to talk about any limits on the card if you go and do
Whatever.
Keep it the same, or do you want to?
What's the limit now?
Well, the board thinks like 25 or something, 20.
I don't know what was that, like
What's the limit on the credit card?
15,000.
I was gonna say it's 15, yeah.
That's
I think
fine.
it's 15.
All right.
Yeah.
I just want to go, so we don't come back to
No, I'm going different, yeah.
it. Right.
So are we okay moving on from this, guys and gals? Yeah, are you okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right, official government affairs, reading of legal findings by the Attorney General regarding open meeting law complaint, OAG file number 13897 TAC 504.
Do I have to read it again?
No, Robin's gonna do it for us.
We're required to read the summary of what the Attorney General found, and this is verbatim what they found. Upon investigating the present complaint, the OAG makes findings of fact and conclusion of law that the board violated the open meeting law by failing to list the locations where the November 16, 2023 meeting notice was posted on the notice, by failing to post notice of the November 16, 2023 meeting on the State of Nevada website, and by failing to record and retain recording of the November 16, 2023 meeting. If the Attorney General investigates an potential open meeting law violation and makes findings of fact and conclusions of law that a public body has taken action in violation of the open meeting law, the public body must include an item on the next agenda posted for a meeting of the public body which acknowledges the finding of fact and conclusions of law. NRS 241.03951. The public body must treat the opinion of the Attorney General as supporting material for the agenda items in question for the purpose of NRS 241.020. Accordingly, the board must place an item on the next meeting agenda in which it acknowledges the finding of fact and conclusion of law opinion resulting from the OAG's investigation in this matter. The board must also include the OAG opinion in the supporting materials for its next meeting, dated July 3rd, 2024. This was originally sent to the attorney, which we no longer have, and I had to request it because we never received it, and that's why it wasn't on the July meeting. Yeah. Once we found out they had made a decision, we requested it, and that was what was required.
Any public comment on that? No? Oh, you know what? So do we need to make a motion on that?
We said we have to accept it.
Just says that, we just have to acknowledge it.
Do we need a motion on that, then?
Probably.
I wouldn't know. We can do a motion to acknowledge it, that covers our butt.
Okay, I'll make a motion to acknowledge the findings of the OAG complaints.
Second,
All in favor?
and
Opposed? Motion carried.
we're doing.
Road report. Road operations and maintenance report.
Oh, I've been getting a lot of, roads still graded. Our new seasonal employee started on the 5th. And, so we're working right now. Basically, as far as the equipment, we just had a lot of stuff that I needed somebody with a machine to come in and take care of some AC stuff, and get that handled. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. You did a lot of work fixing some equipment, is what I noticed, or getting a lot of equipment fixed. Are all those pieces of equipment currently working? Are they fixed now then?
All but one,
Which one?
the 2,000 feet water truck, the compressor was bad. I have a compressor though, and I'll be changing all that.
Okay,
So I do a lot of the work that I can do.
right.
It's just when it came to the AC stuff.
And then I think I know what this means, but I don't want to assume. Number 8 on other, you say one employee took 3 days off. Does that mean you took 3 days off? Yeah, because you caught up in the stuff you wanted
Well,
to do, you needed
here's where
to.
it's at, to be honest with you. I've got a new employee. I don't get any time off now because I can't just tell him to go and do something because he doesn't know what to do. So I just chose to
Okay.
take that time off.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure I understood what that
Yeah.
meant. Yeah. And I don't know if the manual, if my manual's updated. I know that it's the operations manager's job to hire somebody. But it also, the manual on page 17 says that it must be approved by the board before he proceeds. So I think, just again, to cover ourselves, I think we need a motion to retroactively approve. But I need to know who that guy is, unless the manual's changed, it's right in here.
I thought
The
that
motion
was
for
for-
the manual might be referring to the general operations manual in terms of who that is applied to. Because Sean goes out then and hires and fires people to get the work done for his general improvement district.
Page 17 of the board member's handbook
Yeah.
that I have in my hand,
Okay.
that's dated 6/15/14. Under hiring and dismissal, it says hiring. Operations manager is hired by a majority vote of the board. Then it's got road maintenance crew is hired by the operations manager. Note, any new part-time or full-time, temporary or permanent positions must be approved by the board before the operations manager can proceed with hiring. Now, if you're saying that
No,
we're
no,
just
no,
filling that old one,
You're 100% right now.
okay.
You're 100% right. I got it.
Got
We're
it?
good. We're
So
good.
we're going to, I'm just saying, just to cover ourselves, I would.
Totally. And if we want to change that later, we can bring that back as an agenda.
Right, and
Okay.
I need to, and I think the board needs to at least know the guy's name,
Thank you.
because I mean, I still don't know who he
Thomas
is.
Stone,
I'm
Thank
sorry?
you.
Thomas Stone.
Yeah, you want to make the motion?
Can you tell us how to spell his last name, Sean?
Just like it says,
Oh.
STUN.
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead then and move to approve the hiring of Thomas Stump for the maintenance crew that was hired by our operations manager, Sean Kelly,
As a seasonal.
as a seasonal
He's a
employee.
seasonal employee.
Okay,
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Good catch.
That makes, well, this is what it is. You just gotta remember to bring it back to the board. so.
no, and I think, and that's not a criticism, we just, want
No,
to
it's
catch
a good
something I'm
idea.
trying to.
And I will say in all fairness, because I didn't even see that, I never catch that. In all fairness, so you guys know, and through the process, I was communicating pretty closely with Sean, and he was giving me constant updates on the interviews. And so, he was keeping me in the loop through the process. Anyways. Public comment on that?
Yeah, I think that you need to bring that section back to the board and revise it. Because when Sean feels that he has a qualified candidate and he hasn't had one for months, he needs the person now, he doesn't need it at the next board meeting.
Or a temporary for a week, when nobody's here.
Yeah,
That was what got me where I think we needed to make some changes.
yeah, I think that section of the manual needs to have a serious look taken.
Well, he needs to be able to offer a job and, it can't be a maybe, you gotta wait till the board approves you,
Well,
all that, I mean.
Well, and I think if we go back to.
Well, the way it's written,
Right.
Well, and see, that's the thing, the way it's written, but in all the years I can remember,
We never did it.
it never got done that way.
right?
So that might be precedent right there for it to be changed, is what I'm saying.
There'll be precedent for us to
Because
change it,
if
but we have
we
to
had,
formally
if
do
we've
it.
had the
Marty.
last 15, 20 years of it doing that way, then that's plenty of precedent
I don't-
for the board now to go ahead and say, we can go ahead and make that adjustment to the book.
I think we'll have to agendize it
Yep,
and
Absolutely.
vote on it, and it'll be a quick one, hopefully.
Yep. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is I think there's plenty of
Yeah, I agree.
history to back that up for a change. I don't think there's an issue with
Yep.
presenting it that way.
So maybe we can write that down, and we'll have that.
Any other public comment? No? Oh,
This is
Marshall
Marshall Todd for the record. This is kind of germane, I think it's germane to the topic. Are we still looking for an attorney?
That's on the,
Say on the agenda.
that's a different agenda item.
Okay, but it is on the agenda.
it's on the agenda.
Okay. Because I hate to put all this pressure on payment,
Additional funding of $6,000 for broken spur project. Just hit that real quick, Sean.
So if you, and then I want to make a correction
Where's
for,
it saying that?
Item B.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
anyways, there, I use this as a template a lot, and sometimes I don't proofread very well, and when it came to, I don't know, I'm just gonna say it, rangeland, I forgot and left culvert up here, and that was put in, and I just gave her something that, to take that out, because there's no culverts going in on Wilcox. As for, Broken Spur, from Tumbleweed to Whiskey, basically, with what money was left over, the 590787, you can see here, if I get 7 axles, I'm gonna be just under $12,000 to finish that road by just putting 3 inches on the top, and I believe that will help that road to not flood. I will do some of the ditching in certain areas. Other than that, I believe that, and I have talked to Bill about that story, where I think we can get by with just topping that off instead of trying to rake up too much with the pit material, and then I'm gonna cause flooding in other roads.
That was,
Yeah.
I just drove that the other day, and that was exactly what I was thinking. If we raise that road up a foot, somebody's gonna have a wall of water backing up to their front,
So if I can just get it just like it is
So
all the way,
I don't wanna create a flood hazard.
and that's, I believe that this should be just,
So you're talking about just a.
just 3
5 or
inches,
6 tires.
just 3 inches,
3 inches, okay.
yeah, which should just give us, which is close to what's going down the rest.
We're gonna, I think disagree with that. What
Thanks
about
for the
rest?
clarification.
And at this point in time, there's no water gonna run down Whiskey Stream shoulder or ditching, so I just think that we don't even need
When
to put
we
the
have
culvert.
events like a flood, a real flood again, and it goes everywhere, it's gonna go everywhere, and
It's just
there's,
gonna-
there's nothing we can do about it, so, yeah. And that's a road out in the floodplain that's gonna get damaged every time. I don't see any way around.
So anyways, that's.
Any
Well,
public
we should
comment?
get Washoe County to build us a causeway.
That would work.
Yes.
Any public comment?
Good luck with that one.
Pardon me?
I just have no public comment, so.
And FYI, there's no Class C at Tiger right now.
Oh, dear.
Well, then there'd be only probably another 2 months.
They're having trouble. There's a lot of building going on in their Houston
They
building.
use it
Anyway.
for everything. anyway.
Because they know we want some when it's available, or
Oh,
do you
yeah,
have to
no,
keep checking?
absolutely. I've even talked to the salesman and said, listen, you know, I know you've got somebody like Campbell's using it. But, you know, we've been with you guys since Sean Eva, Martin Marietta, and now Tigard. And if we need a couple of 1,000 tons every now and again, Rick, you should, he goes, I'll make sure of that. But they gotta have it on the ground.
Gotcha,
So,
gotcha.
Thanks, Sean.
So Marty, I think I
Good
heard you
checking.
say something.
They have issues over there. They don't have the ability to crush like they used to, so.
We got a motion?
So how much more do we need?
6,000. We'll do it, we'll do it to basically 11,385-ish or something.
What's the total on Broken Spur? 44,000?
Yes.
Okay. Marty, your turn.
Oh, you want me to?
Yeah, you mean.
Let's make people happy with that. I motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank
Okay.
No, it's just, each time they fix one, it's one more we don't have to go back and mess with.
No.
And so you guys know, I think it was Nevada, because I don't have him as a contact yet, but I think he texted me and said he's stuck in traffic coming from Wellington, so that's why he's not here.
Okay.
So, okay.
Did we go all the way through Sean's road report?
Yeah,
Yes, we do.
Can I make one comment on it?
yeah, we haven't, okay.
I have not seen the monthly road report and the request report in quite a while. I remember when we conjured this quite a few years ago, and I was impressed. And I don't know if there's a better way of working it. People can see what's been done on the road, and the month that it was done, and the kind of effort that was taken to do the road. And I think this is excellent. This is what people need to be able to see and look at something that you look for. You go, oh, that's the EPHP, ER emergency repairs, SC seal coats, MC mag chlorides. Okay, you know what's been done in the road. And you look at the little initials and the month that it was done. So thank you very much, everybody.
And
Don't know who's doing
is
it
this
all.
gonna be put on the website?
Yes, and I've been doing it since January.
No, I like it.
Looks
I've
good.
never seen it. Yeah, no,
Thank
I
you.
just- I noticed that it was
Yes, I'll put it on the website.
a good try.
It's an easy one for somebody to see and go down and look at a list and go, oh, well, that was back. And it's got lots of years, and as we go forward, then we're gonna use this to say, we've been able to cut down on the roads because we've been using Class E. The roads are better, we don't have to tear them up as bad. It's not, I see some roads, I know for a fact I see larger roads. It takes 2 weeks for them to pour their way right back up. Okay? And so it's just, it doesn't go away right this time of year. It just doesn't go away.
Oh,
moisture. No
Yeah.
moisture.
No
Hot
moisture and
and
people
dry.
driving fast.
hot and dry.
And are we going to put water on the mag chloride roads still, even though they're dry? Because I saw you do that once and it worked really good, so.
It's, I think a lot of that is dissipating actually.
Okay, all right.
I mean, except for in that one section there.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
between
well,
Green and Rebel. It's amazing how much
I'm gonna
that
go back
extra
and
double
put
shot.
the spreadsheet on for the,
held
rest-
up
well,
extremely
for all
well,
that I've done.
Except
Say
in
it
the
again.
winter
I'll
when.
go back to January and put
Yeah.
that spreadsheet.
And
Actually, I
for
just
that
put it on now
matter, or
because
for
it has
that-
everything back to
not
January.
that it matters because I didn't have an employee, but now, we're gonna go on some of the roads that I've done this year and have them put mag on, and we'll see how they do this one.
Good luck.
I'm not gonna put them on. I'm not gonna put it on.
Okay, all right.
You good?
I'm good, cool. You got another question on there?
Public comment?
Well, no, I was just gonna say the company that I retired from have a polymer that replaces mag chloride and uses it out of the mines. And I'm trying to arrange a meeting between Sean and the new territory manager so you can tell them what it's all about.
Actually, the same stuff I looked into, I'd be curious to see what you come up with. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. I looked at some other stuff too. The price was.
Does it come in tabs that you?
I can't give it to you.
You know, I've never been exposed to it, that's why I was gonna have him come out and explain.
There was one that had a mixture of soil, you put it with clay, and especially with clay soils, it worked very, very well. And it didn't work very well with other soils, so there's some polymers out there that might work really well at some parts of our roads. And then I thought, well, other parts of the road aren't gonna be too good, so. I let it go, yeah, it was just too much work to try to.
And moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on, yeah.
Okay, unfinished business.
Sorry.
I know, I gotta make up for 2 months ago. Missing it. New business, discussion of NRS 281A TAC 400-430, which prohibits public officials and public employees from hiring relatives or negotiating contracts with relatives. Also, the board to consider possible approval of a policy to be included in the trustees and employees handbook.
Any comments on that?
Yeah, I brought this to the president's, John's attention because it came to my attention that, that Sean had, hired a relative. And, I haven't been on the board until a couple months ago. And so I don't have this, as a member of the public, I don't have the same accountability as I do, obviously, as a member of the board. And so I did some research. I looked up the ethical law, NRS, that's listed 281A 400-430. in which it states, I sent a couple of those provisions to John's attention so he understood what I was concerned about. I think Sean was and this isn't a criticism of Sean, I think he was probably told it was okay in the past. And just because somebody told him it was okay in the past doesn't make it okay. And as we know, there's been, a lot of drama in the valley with this board, and I personally don't want to give anybody any ammunition to hold this board or Sean, accountable. We've had there's a pending ethics violation against a former board member. There's this open meeting law, thing that is really kind of the result of what happened, because of all the drama that we've had before the board leadership changed. And, I just want us to try to be as compliant, obviously, as possible with state law. And I know that the employee's manual or handbook, it doesn't specifically say that. I know there's somebody added to the papers that we're looking at, that's part of our packet, a link from the State of Nevada Employee Handbook. That's not dealing with hiring, it's dealing with supervising. So if you have that in front of you, where it says this nepotism / dating relationship, I was a state employee for quite a few years, and they have a lot of employees. And so if you're already an employee, you can't, your boss, your chief, like I was in the Attorney General's office, and we had a chief deputy for the Medicaid fraud control unit that I worked in. He couldn't hire, not only could he not hire, but he couldn't supervise a family member, okay? That's what this is talking about, that he can't supervise a family member. And there's an exception, like it says, you could supervise a family member if it was an ad hoc employment situation caused by an emergency or special project of limited duration. So an example would be, there's a special project. I worked on an action plan when I was at the AG's office. And let's say the person who's in charge of the action plan ends up supervising somebody from another division that happens to be their son-in-law. Well, that's okay because it's a limited project. But for actually employing someone, hiring someone, I believe the state ethics law bans that. And when John asked me to get some language, we never like to have to create something from whole cloth if we know we can plagiarize somebody else's language. So I reached out to the deputy DA that advises the senior advisory board that I'm on and asked if he had any language. Did the county have any language, that kind of memorializes the state law? And he said, oh no, the state law is enough. That's all we need. We don't have any language like that. Sun Valley GID, same thing. They don't have any special language in their manual. And even if it was in there, even if we put in here that the operations manager could hire his son on a temporary basis, it's against the state ethics law. And I don't want to give anybody ammunition. I know Sean sometimes feels like I'm picking on him, but I'm not. I'm actually trying to protect Sean and the board, because I'm a member of this board, and I don't want to become responsible for allowing something to happen that I know is a violation. I don't think Sean knew that. I think somebody might have informed him. So I'm not trying to chastise him about that. But I think we have to understand that. And if we need to put it in the manual, that's up to the board. That, I'm not going to say we have to. In fact, in my opinion, we don't have to. But if the rest of the board says, hey, for clarity, we should try to get some language, put it in the manual. I mean, we're already got a lot of places. I can't tell you how many places I've tabbed in here that needs to be updated. I mean, it talks about Louis Tess being our attorney. We've had 2 attorneys since then. I'm just, there's some things we have to update. And so if we decided we wanted to put something in that's probably when we could do it. But the law is the law.
I read what you did, and I read the rest of the stuff, and there's no way out of it. The law is very definitive. You're not allowed to hire anyone per se that's a relative. And so we just will make sure that we abide by the state law first. And secondly, if the board wishes, we could change or make some clarity with regards to our management notes, because I think that, I can't say this 100%, the state, county, everybody already knows, have the black and white law and almost say, remove the statute.
Okay, let me take public comment real quick. Any public comment?
Yeah, Brian DeGrando for the record. Right now, things are tough as far as trying to find somebody to come and do work. And I believe that in the past that, that when you can't find anybody else to do the work, what do? Right? If you have a family member, and I understand the need for nepotism laws, believe me, I do. But the work is then not going to get done if you don't have somebody, or one body to go in that can do menial labor. If I understand right, that was putting the stripes down the middle of Ironton, right?
That is-
Something like that?
It's not,
There's been a few things.
Yeah.
Even those papers being put on that table over there wouldn't have been done for 2 months.
Yeah. So the thing is that I realize that we do need to be compliant with the state law. We don't want to get into the situations that you're seeing now, the probably the open meeting, the ethics complaint against Donato. Like you said again, all the drama that has been in this board to the leadership that gets left. But the work needs to get done, and if something can't get done because we can't hire a family member or friend or something like that just to get some menial work done, then we just need to understand that it's not going to get done, and there should be no complaints, none whatsoever.
Good point.
All right, on the office manager or anybody else, and I believe that our community needs to be made aware of that. It would be great if people would step up and do the work. It really would be.
Any other public comment? So this is my suggestion after thinking about this. And I put the nepotism language in there because I thought it was a good idea to see some policies and also a couple of policies. So this is my suggestion on how to move forward. We put a stop to any kind of family hiring here moving forward. Right? It's not gonna happen. Second, because this is a great opportunity, you gotta have a nepotism policy of some kind. That's a GID. Okay, you gotta have one, we don't have one. I don't wanna wait to put it into a policy as far as the board handbook or an employee policy, because I want it to encompass all of us. And so I'd like a resolution drafted regarding that type of thing. And my other idea there is because then it gives Robin a chance to work with Kathy drafting a resolution, which Robin hasn't had a chance to do for us yet. And then that will come quicker than updating our employee handbook and board handbook, which are resolutions too, if you guys follow my thinking, and that probably won't be till early next year, right?
Right.
So I think it'd be great to just have a resolution that covers all of us, the employees, right? So we all know what we can do and what we can't do. And I don't know if you guys are into this, but the other idea I had was, because people have different viewpoints on interpreting language, and I see that, like the Ethics Commission in the state of Nevada, it's like the enforcement arm of these kind of policies. And I wouldn't mind But I caveat this, starting off, moving forward, we just don't hire family. We're not gonna do that anymore. Right? I think we should just get advisory opinions from the Ethics Commission, which they do, on what's happened at the GID, because this actually happened with Hicks back in 2017 too. So it's kind of gone, it's been more than just the recent past here at the GID. But I think it'd be great to get an advisory opinion from the Ethics Commission, and then any naysayers out there who might not agree with the board. We have an advisory opinion from the enforcement arm of these statutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I think that you can do that, but it might be overkill because the wording is such in the state of Nevada that it just doesn't allow.
It might be.
And
it
it
might-
might, county said,
it-
that's it, they don't need it.
It might be, but I know where I live out here.
Oh, I understand. Can we just do it if we run into trouble, get an advisory board hearing them if we
We
do?
could do that.
Do they
Yeah,
charge for that?
otherwise
Do
No.
they charge for an advisory opinion?
No,
I didn't see that. It looked like
Okay.
you could just do it
there's no
online.
charge.
Okay.
You can request it.
6 years worth.
And
Yeah.
if I may, I just want to let everybody know, it was out of bare necessity
No,
that any of that
it was-
ever happened.
It was nothing nefarious.
And it was never an ongoing thing. It was an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, but that was it. It was just because I needed the help.
Angie's got a question. Go ahead.
I have a question.
Mm.
That's what it was. And that's all it is. It wasn't to work like that, it was just on the backside.
Nothing, we're done.
I just have a question as far as a public member. Is there a reason is that he doesn't report to Sean, he reports to the board just like Sean in a different capacity? Because that is in other workplaces that you were speaking, they would report up to a different supervisor. It's like in my job, I have 2 sisters who work together, and one sister should be reporting to the other one. And instead of her reporting to the sister that reports to me, this sister reports to me. And so she's my direct report, but they're still in liaison together. Just something to think about that they,
Well, there's
could
two,
the
there's two
super-
aspects.
could the
There's super-
supervisor be the board to that particular
But there's-
individual that, and he
you'd have
gets
to
hired
change-
by the board as well.
Problem is, the board's not a supervisor.
Yeah, we're not supervising them.
We're not supervising. the
And,
board.
and again, the reason why it happened was because if you have an hour or 2 that you need done, I can't find somebody to work even on where we're at now. It was hard to find a 40-hour-a-week guy.
Right,
Just to have somebody, an extra body to help for that one thing.
for an hour.
The one time to drive me over to get the truck that we just purchased because I had nobody to drive me. So it was like just something that anyway,
Mhm.
it's not gonna happen, but it was the only reason why it happened was that. Because I can't find somebody, that third person, even though now I've hired somebody, there are certain jobs that require more than 2 guys.
Right.
And I can't do
You
those
can't,
jobs.
you can't go patching.
Robin's got a question.
I've got a question as a public. Would it be possible, Sean, to put out an ad for the Valley for people that would be willing to come in when you called them at short notice? Maybe some retired people, maybe even some of the people that are here. If you needed a third person that you could just call them, and would that be possible to get a list like
I'm
that?
not saying nothing's impossible, but we'll just have to play that one by ear. I don't know.
So those are my suggestions. What do you guys think? Because, I mean, I'll make a motion that we draft a resolution. And then we can do it over 2 meetings, and then it's set in stone. I mean, but, because this isn't exactly nepotism in our statute, right?
Right.
But we need a nepotism policy.
I don't disagree with that. No, I haven't got to that yet.
Okay.
I just, we don't hire. The state law says you don't hire. So that's real easy. The nepotism policy is something, go ahead and put it together and we'll
Yeah, that's.
add it to whatever those things are.
So moving forward, no family hiring, no. Agreed?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll draft a resolution and Kathy and Robin, and, some good language to cover all of
I'm
us.
excited.
And
Well, I haven't done a resolution. This will be
Yeah,
fun.
and then we'll do a couple of readings on it, and if the board approves it, then it's just a resolution that's in infamy for the GID.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Do you want a motion to, seek an advisory opinion, or do you want to hold off on that?
No,
Okay, all right.
if you guys are okay without doing it?
I don't think we need
I
it.
don't think he can just say, the
Okay,
president can
all
send
right.
it in. If you wanted to
Yeah,
let
I
her,
mean, if I wanted to, but you were good, you think? If somebody complains, I'll do it.
yeah,
There we go.
Let's-
All right.
Two or three.
Yeah.
Okay, discussion pertaining to the necessity of retaining an attorney for the PDGOD and determination of the steps necessary to locate and contract an attorney if one is desired. Larry, give me 15 minutes, come on. Okay, Cal.
I can't represent the board. I am an attorney, but I can't represent the board. I can't really give the board legal advice. There's so many advantages to having an attorney on, and I don't think we have to pay someone a lot of money. The Washington County Bar Association has a monthly newsletter where people put in little ads saying, we're looking for this kind of attorney, a contract attorney, we're looking for a research attorney. We'd say we're looking for an attorney who can advise, a small public entity. They'll get us, they'll get a monthly retainer plus some additional money, we can even, and then they contact somebody. If you're interested, if you want more details, contact, probably initially Robin or something, I don't know, whoever you think. The thing is that if you have an attorney, under the open meeting law, for example, if your attorney, like if Louis Test or Patrick Mansfield or even the guy we terminated gives us wrong advice, it actually protects the board because you're following your attorney's advice. And I love that part of it. So that's one of the reasons why I think we should, and we have it budgeted. You wisely lowered the budget, didn't, from what we were gonna have to pay if we kept the past attorney on, contract. So that's what I would like to do. I'd like, to be able to put an ad, the board put an ad in the Washington County Bar Association and, maybe we won't get anybody, I don't know, but it's a good place to advertise for lawyer work.
And can you give Robin the wording for the ad?
Sure, I can help you with that.
Yeah, perfect. And when we terminated the services of Frank in May, we said that, GID will have an attorney in the future.
Right, yeah, that
So-
was,
It was always understood that
And you-
we'll bring another.
Our
And-
insurance policy for our previous one was 3,000 to 4,000 a month, or,
yeah, it was very expensive.
okay.
So currently, Greg, we budgeted for this fiscal year $20,000 for
Okay.
legal.
Oh, we'll see how that works, okay.
Actually, I think that's pretty good. Lou.
And it is,
Yeah.
I- I'm an optimistic person. I think we might be able to even get something where we end up doing, it will be like 1,000 a month.
Well,
But don't hold me to that.
Well, no, we just have to be honest with ourselves. Louis spoiled us.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Louis spoiled us.
Well-
And Louis was very good to this board in this valley for the services he provided.
Absolutely.
Because he did above and beyond and billed us for very little of what he did.
Yeah. I remember calling him for a few times.
Yeah.
Because a normal person would have billed every time the phone answered, so.
Well, and that's what the
We had
last
a normal
attorney did.
person.
The last attorney billed for every time the phone rang,
I've had those before.
and the previous leadership had called a lot.
Calling
So,
So you got that, Robin?
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
And so is that the first step, Pam, that we'd like to do and then go?
do
from
an
there?
ad, and then once we, we could,
They're out there.
they're out there, and then,
Find a young guy that's just opening up.
and if you can even, the board could approve someone to negotiate, but I think the whole board has to ultimately approve,
Yeah. yeah.
So we could have someone preliminarily do something subject to board
Could you
approval.
feed, Robin, could you feed Pam, if we get some bites on that, could you get her the information?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
I'll work with her.
Yeah, I think, Pam, is that good?
Yeah, I think that's fun.
Yeah. And if we get someone quick, great. If we don't, we'll just have to keep going.
We'll limp along.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, any public comment?
My only public, Marshall Todd for the record, my only public comment is that you guys are doing a job that's normally a paid position in a lot of places as volunteers, but you're assuming the same risks that somebody does that gets paid for it. You know, except those people under the, in the county, the county kind of takes care of. But elected officials, you guys are just as liable as the governor. You know, you can be sued, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So not having an attorney, I think, is just dangerous as hell, personally.
We'll try. It is. I mean, it's, our protection right now is the recording of everything going on. So you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really appreciate all of you, and I'd hate to see any of it get slammed, you know?
All right,
Moving on. Review of quotes received for internet service to be located at 5105 Wayside.
I was able to obtain 3 quotes. Verizon Wireless, the service would run $60 a month. There's no instant cost. It's 100 gigabytes of premium data, and then there's unlimited regular data. So you have 100 gigs of fast data, and then it slows down like with all of them. It does require a hotspot. They recommended the Orbit Speed X 5G. It costs $199.99, or with the we have it, we can pay $555 a month with no interest. And what's nice about that, Sean, is you could actually move it around the shop. Let's say you had a laptop and you wanted to go. Well, okay.
You could even put it in the truck and take it down the street.
It's portable.
That's about something.
Yeah, that's right.
You might think about it as being a portable router. That's about what it is.
And then I spoke with Avant. They had given us a quote before. Stayed the same, $75 monthly service, $250 for installation, and it requires the purchase of a router, which they estimated $140. And after that, I spoke with High Desert Wireless. Their fee is $99 a month. Installation is $125, and their router costs $75 a month. So those are the 3 options. And
so I did some math just to help us consider which one might be the best way to go. 'Cause
I got Verizon at my house, and I'm 3 miles away from anything, and I still get 40 to 50, I get 40 megabits a second.
yours is a hotspot with
I have
Verizon.
no hot, all I got is a little white box they sent me, and I just plugged it in, and I'm done.
Okay,
Yeah.
It works, cost me $50 a month with Verizon.
But I'm asking though, is that the hotspot thing? I'm
Yeah.
not familiar with that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a little,
I think it. I
it's
think
just
it
a little
is.
hotspot.
Yeah.
And
This-
I think that the box, if you lose it or break it, is, I don't know, $200 or something like
yeah,
that.
that's this one.
Yeah, that seems good.
Yeah, 'cause
So Verizon, if you pay for the hotspot, that hotspot that they're recommending up front, it would be $920 for the first year. And then it would only be $720 a year. I liked it because you have to think
Yeah,
about annual
yeah,
budgets.
yeah,
It's
you're
okay.
right.
So it'd be 720. So it's definitely the cheapest option if it's works. You know, I haven't used that. I actually have Avant.
Oh, and when I was over here next to the tower to the Wayside, I was 80 or 90 megabits a second
Oh, yeah, because the
download.
tower's
Oh,
right
that's
there.
Oh,
really good.
So he's gonna be close to that
Yeah.
tower, so he'll
Oh.
be. fine.
Avant, the math is the first year it would be $12.90, and then after that, because of the installation and the upfront costs, every year thereafter, unless he raises his rates, it's $900 a year. So it is, still more than the Verizon. And then High Desert, the first year would be $13.88, and the second year and every year thereafter, unless he raises the rates, would be $11.88. So High Desert Wireless is the highest. And when Sean's talked about it, it's not like you do a lot on it, but it's nice to have it. Maybe you
I don't
think-
know the difference of
So
anything.
here's,
I know that I have a bond at the house and it's not the fastest.
so my
Okay.
opinion is that your Verizon Wireless will be your best bet,
Okay,
100%. Avant is too up and down on their speed.
You know this hotspot thing, man?
Oh, yeah, I ran Verizon at my house.
I'm old.
No, so when we first moved out there, we did Verizon. We actually did one of their beta systems before it was even available to the public, which was a dedicated tower on the house to their tower.
Oh.
And it was awesome, but it was expensive at the time. Now we have Starlink, but for what you're doing, you don't need Starlink. Verizon hotspot is all you need. It's the
It's
cheapest
only 50
answer.
bucks a month.
He's the go
And
anywhere
yours is
guy.
only $50 a month?
Oh, because he probably has a smartphone.
Well, and this was,
Yeah.
yeah, and this
No,
one's
no,
business.
No, it just comes to a box, the TV's hooked up, all the phones, the
Yeah, that's what I
wireless.
was, but
If,
everything.
if Sean
Little
had a
teeny white
smartphone, it
box,
would be
that's all it is.
$20 less a month.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying
Okay,
is you
okay,
have a
yeah.
smartphone.
Because he doesn't have a
He doesn't
smartphone.
have a smartphone, so it costs more.
Yes,
The
The
bundle rates.
hotspot thing.
Right.
yeah, it costs $20 more a month because he does not have a smartphone.
Okay, I'm not catching it all.
Well,
You
the-
guys make up your mind which way you want
So
to
it
go.
sounds
This
to me
would
like
be
Verizon's the way to
separate.
go.
I think Verizon's
Yeah.
your way to go because it gives you the best.
I'll vote for that.
Is that a motion, Greg?
I motion we use Verizon.
Public comment?
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
My Verizon is
Yeah.
this big.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not
Plug it
big.
in,
Yeah.
go anywhere, and it is an orbit.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
this
yeah,
one's,
yeah.
this one's the
And it
same
works
thing.
really well, is
Yeah.
what
Oh,
you're
yeah.
telling us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always
Yeah,
have
it's a-
internet.
Yeah,
And if
this is a
Sean-
little different than what Greg has, but it's basically the same concept.
And if Sean ever decides to go to a smartphone, it'll be $20 less a month.
Yeah, no, that's the
that
big.
is true.
Yeah, but my phone's only $30 a month.
35.
Okay, so we're gonna do the Verizon. I'll
No,
make
there was a motion, was there, Greg made a motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. And then, Robin, is this gonna be hard to get hooked up by the end of the month?
Oh, no, they just give it to you and
Yeah.
you plug power into it. and it runs.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
We gotta-
There's nothing to
We gotta
it.
give Jeff his stuff. right?
Yeah, we gotta tell Jeff, thanks for all the years.
There is one thing. The Verizon that I have, you're not allowed to take it to Fernley or wherever.
Oh, it's not going anywhere.
But no, hang on. Like you've got your hotspot, you can go anywhere with it, and it's
So can
good.
Sean.
And that's a little different system. So my question to Sean was, you need internet on top of anywhere else other than just a quicker?
That's where my computer is.
No, but when he did, he will go anywhere.
Okay.
And I
Go
will,
to GP, check
it'll
it
just stay at home.
Unless you wanna get a laptop. you can-
Oh, yeah. Get a
okay.
tablet, a laptop.
So you're there, okay. Correspondence?
I have correspondence this month. Hold on. I got it all set out, and then if we got to talking, then I'll put it away. Of course, I put it somewhere. Okay. First thing we received was Martin Gretmeyer's official oath. We received this in mail. We also sent, oh, that goes on the calendar. We also received a letter from the prior attorney whose name we don't speak of, and they are closing the file. I have requested all the records. They're going to send us a hard copy of all the records at no charge.
Oh, good.
And we received the title for the truck, and that was about it.
And we have to learn how to spell Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you, right, but there's so many people that go Pella. They do.
There's a lot of A's out there.
Okay, not that.
Okay, calendar?
On the calendar for August, we had to send in the indebtedness report, and that's already been done. We sent in the QES report, which is a quarterly economic survey that's been sent in. Greg signed it. We submitted the proof of publication, which I have right here for the final on the budget for the year. And in 2030, we need to do an extension on the right-of-way grant from BLM for Ironwood. And that's all I've got on here.
Okay.
You have a question?
No, I don't.
Okay. Board member and staff items?
just real quickly, when I got my, board manual handbook and all the stuff that was in it, I'm one of those people who reads almost everything.
I was gonna accuse you of that.
Maybe twice even. And in it was some materials that I think Greg, I think you're the only one who's still here that attended a really
Yeah, that
good.
was one of the ones I stuff
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, it was,
It
there
was
was,
pretty good stuff, I thought.
there was some really good stuff. There's
Yeah.
they did a class on, or, they talked about the open meeting law. They talked about ethics and they talked about, government effectiveness.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
This was from Pool Pact, right?
Mhm.
And I just think it's, frankly, maybe things would have ran a little smoother if those folks who are now gone would have done this at the beginning of the year. I can't,
I thought about that.
okay, but it didn't happen. And so we do have, I know Marty's been on the board at different times, but we have Nevada who's pretty new. I'm still new, and there's gonna be an election, but something to think about once we have elections over and in January, we get whoever's on the board, it might be good to do it again.
I think at least openly go through this at a meeting, maybe? You're saying agenda this, or have
We could
actually go
even-
back?
They don't charge anything to come out and do it.
They could come and,
It was, those were good sessions.
Sam's talking about doing that training.
yeah,
They
Yeah.
did. And I think Nevada went to one of them. I think Nevada went to one of them.
He went to the one the county put on.
What's that?
He went to the one the county put on.
Oh, is that the one?
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought it was, okay.
Did you get everything, Ken?
did I get everything?
Yeah, because it was your item. All these things were public comment on.
Oh, no, aren't we on,
For the 11th.
things that we wanna have on agenda
We're on
meetings?
item 11.
Yeah.
So
11.
I didn't know if you were done or not.
Well, I've already talked about the fact, and it sounds like, I don't know what the timeline is, but all these little tabs that are on this handbook are things like needs to be updated, some stuff that maybe we didn't even realize. Like there's a resolution about if there's and this has come up, I know, in the cab maybe, and maybe here too, when an abandoned vehicle is on a PBGID easement, that there's a procedure on what to do, and I wasn't aware of that.
And it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
We can't
Yeah.
do it.
Well, but the only thing is if it's in here, that's why it needs to be updated and stuff. If it's something we found out we can't really do or whatever, let's see. Anyway, I just, like even the open meeting law thing that's in here, it goes back to 2016 when there was a different attorney general. And we all know that there's a new rule that happened in the last couple of years about subcommittees. And so there's nothing in there about that. And, we can't just assume that the same 5 people are going to be, in fact, there's term limits. So we have to make sure these things updated. There's a couple of missing resolutions that I know have happened in the last year and a half, since even the new board.
It would be nice
there
to
was a
have
slight
all
one.
of that on a computer. I
Well,
think we had it once.
Actually, I was gonna ask Robin, I talked to Dan about it. I think I said something about putting resolutions on the website.
Yes, and I have all of this in the computer. However, I found out that the handbook I have is not the latest handbook, and so I'm missing some things.
I don't know which one I got. I gave that one back to you and Pam got it.
oh, so I got one that you had?
No, I printed yours out.
Oh, you printed mine out
Yeah.
from
Yeah, basically it had been scanned in and I printed out.
Okay.
I have, Marty, I didn't bring yours, but I have yours ready.
Oh, that's okay.
But I need to update chapter 3 because it's not what I have. And so I'll get that to you and I have to get it to Nevada.
okay,
And because chapter
because
3
there's a few
was,
missing
well, it changed. It's
Okay.
not the same.
all right,
And so,
No, there is, I remember there has been additions and retractions and this and that, and so it will take a handful of minutes to
Mhm.
go through and make sure.
Well, and I told Robin that I would be willing to volunteer
It's
to
like
help
the one
with
I had
that.
years ago had stuff from 68 in it.
Well, and some stuff is, it's actually, it is from 68 and it's not really, we haven't, the board hasn't
Oh, no,
repealed
no,
it.
yeah,
so
no,
that-
it was updated,
Yeah,
it just, it never got removed from the
yeah,
book,
yeah.
so.
Yeah,
no,
there's
I-
some resolutions that have been repealed and they're still in there and you don't know it's been repealed until you go to the
You find it.
resolution 10 pages later that says it repealed. The numbers aren't short. It's not like, it repealed number 25. It's got this fancy long number, so.
Well, John had me print out an item for the agenda tonight, and I'm like, it doesn't have anything to do with this, and that's when I found out my chapter 3 was wrong.
What's going on?
You guys have two different chapter 3s.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I wrote him and said, this doesn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with this, and then he sent me his, and I'm like, that's not what I have.
Well, and we just, we've got a good group up here and we want to run it as smoothly and professionally as we can.
And my goal, on the handbook, and honestly, is early next year,
Okay,
January, February,
okay.
to have an updated handbook.
But just know if you send me something and I have no idea what you're talking about,
It might be that my books is different than your book.
yes.
Okay.
Any other board member staff items?
Yeah, got some.
Uh-oh.
One of the things that keeps coming back, and it's happened quite a bit, it's happened every other year or so since I've been on the board, was the delineation of type 1, 2, and 3 roads. I guess that's what we use now. And when we had a resolution that came across and eliminated roads that were essentially four-wheel drive access roads and turned them into class 1 or class 3 vehicle roads. And the GID people, the people who were in the GID have to pay to keep those roads up, along with additional people moving in and rehabbing things like you can put 2 houses on a parcel now, which is still only basically paid for what it costs you on your ad valorem tax. There's a whole bunch of inequities on those issues, as well as the county not giving us what I think is the proper amount of money to function. But I can also understand that there's many general improvement districts in the state of Nevada. And if one happens to get some more money than the other, then the feud is on. And I don't know how all of that will ever work out. But we need to figure out a way to increase the funding for this area so that we can. We've taken care of a lot of roads by putting Class E base on them, but we really haven't taken care of them because, it's either drainage or the subgrade needs to be improved or just bring the roads back up to some level like we did on Rate Line. That was 18 inches of bit on Class E we had to bring up just to get that road where it wasn't a canal in the rain. Because when it did rain before, it just turned into about a foot of water. I think that's what it was.
Greg, do you want an agenda item?
Nope, I don't want an agenda item at all. I want to discuss this a little bit and bring it out. But which way do we think we ought to be going? Because I could bring you some info back on what the county brings in for these areas and should we be asking for the county for a couple percentage of that millions of dollars?
Well, I'm up for going to the county every chance we get and saying, hey, give us more. I mean, I think And we've done that
But I
for
think-
years, right?
If we want to discuss it, we have to agendize it.
Yeah. Right, yeah, well, that's just, you want to agendize it or not, that's my big question. is-
Well, you,
Because it's
you're
a
a
big,
board member,
it's a big issue.
if you want to put it on the agenda, we'll do it
I
next
just,
month.
what scares me, you know, it takes huge amounts of effort to, and people to, make the county wake up and pay attention to what, we want. And like our county commissioner said, Jeannie said, if you want to make a splash to the county, you get 20 people to show up at a meeting. And,
I know we don't worry about taking this much paper without an agenda.
Yeah, let's not talk
Okay.
anymore about it, please.
so you guys can pick this if you wanna. I'll bring some of it back. I think maybe the first thing, maybe the only thing we wanna do is how much money, maybe that's what would be interesting for the people. How much money does the county collect, the school collect, blah, blah, blah. You know, just lay it out for this area, what's the GID boundaries, how much is collected, and, the CTX tax and the other taxes, and start looking at, what we have and maybe where the board wants to go.
Any other items?
Real quickly, I had a meeting with somebody regarding this citizen advisory boards. And the one idea that's being floated, countywide is the possibility of having like a town hall meeting. And if they had a town hall meeting, they thought it would get out here. It was suggested that it might be nice to have, a representative from the GID attend it and just, talk about what the GID does. And, how to, just some general information stuff and be there. There'd be someone maybe from the BLM and so on. So I just want to throw that out there. Don't need to agendize it yet, but it might think about whether you.
That would be
still
something,
thinking
yeah,
about it.
I've been to those ones and the stuff on the water and all those deals, so, yeah, that
But if
makes
you go,
sense.
Greg, to represent us, you're doing overtime.
Did we spend over
Sit
an
out
hour?
of
Did we
line.
spend over an hour yet? Are we over an hour?
Yeah, we're an
Yes.
hour and
Close
40
to
minutes.
overtime. Hey, so next month, and just in all fairness. I'm
See,
trying to-
we're under
I'm
an hour,
trying to
thank
keep-
you.
No, we're at an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, dear.
I'm trying to keep the agendas light, and I put Pam's off for a month, in all fairness. Next month, Greg will have an item, and hopefully we have a drafted resolution on some kind of nepotism policy to read. And currently, that's all we have extra. Fair enough?
Yeah, and I just plan to bring information in so that people can see
No, and that's great.
what's happening in the valley, and you guys get an idea, and then, maybe we move forward with some ideas on that.
Public comment on matters not listed on this agenda. George?
George Boyce for the record. I think, going with him, that my original proposal was that we have the county or get the county to, when they issue the building permit out here, that we get the park and recreation money, since we don't have a park out there, other than they tried to tell me the shooting range was one. And now they contracted the shooting range out. So we ought to take that where we get the money from the parks and recreation. Why should we be sponsoring parks in Reno and them deal? I think we need to move the deal. That way, when somebody builds a new house out here, he's paying it anyway, but it would at least go to the roads to help him out.
Yes, ma'am.
Deidre Irwin, for the record. I know I beat a dead horse over what's going on with Paiute Creek. It's been done for 35 years or more by GID, and now we have no service for almost 2 years now.
And that was, the previous board said that I wasn't supposed to be on that road until they figured out.
As long as it, I think this is,
It's a county road on the map.
is, have, Deidre, we've talked to Robin.
No.
Please contact Robin. And
Well, I
she's-
mean, I had put something in a few months ago about trying to get it done, and from Right Hand Canyon on Whiskey Springs up to the end of the road, that road up there is original Rocketdyne, and it just gets patched, and the patches come out, and patched again, and the patches come out. Nobody's ever maintained it. There's no bar ditches from Right Hand Canyon all the way up. And then we don't even have enough leeway to have emergency vehicles come up there. I've got a diabetic granddaughter. There's only one family that has under 50-year-old people living in it. And it's just, we have no service up there. I'm beating the crap out of my Yukon going up and down the road because it's so bad. And everybody else too, and we get nowhere because they wanted to know where the road lay. Well, the road was there when we purchased the property in '78. And it's on the county maps. It's not like it's a new road to maintain. And I know you guys aren't all from the board last time that was not doing it. But there's never been an issue.
Just to clarify, Deidre, real quick, you're talking from the edge of pavement at Right Hand Canyon?
No.
Or
I'm talking from Whiskey Springs,
going up?
edge of the pavement, up Paiute Creek.
Okay.
And
And
then-
Robin, put that on the agenda next time.
Okay.
And we'll have a discussion on it. I think part of that's an easement thing, if I'm not mistaken.
But let's do it.
I mean, the property line is all right there next to that road. I can show you property markers for most of the property going up.
We'll agendize it next month, bring your friends and neighbors.
I will.
All right, any other public comment?
Yeah, just wanted, this is Brian DeMambro for the record, pardon my voice. I don't know whether or not this can be anything that can be done by the GID. Now, I'm talking about Wilcox Ranch Road, from Mid Road. Now, that's back in the old Wilcox Ranch POA, right, which is defunct. All right, the people there actually pay an extra fee for the Wilcox Ranch POA, and I think that money goes into a fund that's getting eaten up in lawsuits. You know, with neighbors suing each other back there because the whole Wilcox Ranch POA went defunct. But Wilcox Ranch, now there's like 30 houses back there. And Wilcox Ranch there is really ragged. It's probably about, I don't know, Sean, a mile and a half, maybe a mile long. I'm not talking about the spurs off, Basque Oven, Red Corral, you know, Tree Farm, none of those. But just the.
I don't really
Wilcox
know
Ranch.
the past there. To
Yeah,
be honest with you.
Yeah,
So,
I know, and I don't know if there can be anything done. It is actually in the Wilcox, it's actually in the GID area.
Well, and honestly, I can't do anything until it gets wet now.
Yeah,
It's too dry.
Marty takes care of Basque Oven and Serenity, and he's taking care of a little bit of that, but I'm just wondering, money's out there somewhere. Nothing is getting done because the Wilcox Ranch POA is just gone.
And you're saying that the GID should include the POA?
I'm not sure.
Well, that's the whole problem we have is we don't have enough money to take care of what we have. And
I
that's a
understand,
fact.
but there's this, but people pay each month an extra fee.
And I would say on this, guys,
Yeah.
on this,
And,
I'm not gonna agendize it next month
I wouldn't.
because now I'm getting too,
Yeah.
I'm not light
Yeah,
yet.
it's too
I
big.
need to be light. And so
Okay, and
maybe the
I'm
month
not
after.
expecting that. I just wanted to kind of throw this out, maybe kind of think about, I don't know what to do about that. And something needs to be done about it. And,
For the people, it's a whole nother general improvement district, correct?
no, it's in the GID.
Well, it was
It's in-
carved
it's
out,
in the
yeah, we can't
district, but
we
they
can't
have
discuss
POA out
it,
there.
John. We gotta,
Yeah.
Okay,
I understand.
any other public comment? Adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
I second. I can't do that.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Adjourned at, 7:47. I was going for.
Sorry.
Well,
It wasn't all my fault, though.